Alrighty then. So we're going to be calling him on up, and then we'll get him on in here. This, again, was pretty interesting games, and now we have n0tail coming on in. How's it going, man?
Hey man, it's going good. Going good. Thanks for asking. And yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. A little bit just completely caught off guard from those games there. Like, it was a doozy. I mean, Daggins, boots first, everywhere. What do you think about those? I mean, it was just crazy on my end.
Well, they did play in a special kind of way, like our opponents. Worked out kind of nice for them. We were stumbling a bit in the start of each game, but well, the pickups worked for also the Dagon for us and the boots for them, and yeah, it was special kind of Dota today.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, very, very unique. What about the supportive Warlock? What did you think about that selection? How they made it work with the upheaval?
The Warlock pick for them was extremely well. Like not only well timed, but in general it was really good. I I at least noticed it right after they picked it that it was going to be an issue for us, because from our draft you could see what our intentions were. That was to pretty much five-man push. Also from the bans, like the whole draft told a story. And picking up a Warlock against a team that wants to group up as five, that makes all the spells pretty much work to the fullest. Like maybe except for the heal, but the fatal bonds and the upheaval and the ulti become so powerful, and yeah, more specifically the fatal bonds. Like that spell is probably the one of the best spells you can get for 5-on-5 clashes. So that was a really good pickup from their side, and they executed it well.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it was interesting, and I'm not sure if you knew, but he maxed upheaval, so he was trying to just make sure they could
Yeah, we
five
we
man
also
do.
felt that, but yeah, it's a really powerful spell, not to
Hmm.
be underestimated.
Hmm. Yeah, it kind of adds a new dynamic to the lineup there, and that was pretty interesting. In that game, you guys played like a hardcore push-oriented lineup. I mean, as far as I could tell, Venture Spirit was picked up almost entirely for the aura. Is that right?
Yeah, it was more specifically for the aura, but the swap and stuff can also easily come into play in a strat with a DK standing in front. But yeah, we executed our strat really poorly that game, so we didn't really get to see that in play.
Yeah. You said that you executed it poorly. Do you feel that that means that it's still a very viable strategy? That push-oriented play is still something that you guys can make work. It's just in this situation wasn't coordinated or just didn't work out. Especially in mid, it seemed like that tier two was a
Yeah,
big turning point in that situation.
that was when it all went wrong. Was that tier 2 fight? Um, of course, it's really something we ran before, not necessarily with the DK, but in general, a strategy with a lot of push power, and with that I mean heroes that can easily take down towers and keep the pressure up. Like it's hard to force them back, and it's hard to take a fight like 5-on-5 fight initiate on them. But they had pretty good lineup against it. Like a lot of deep push potential, like long range harass spells, and that makes it kind of hard if you don't have the healing to keep up, because then you drop down, then you can't take a fight because fight starts with you on 10% HP, and well, then they wipe you, and then your whole push track kind of crumbles.
Hmm.
And then when you have the superior late game, which they had in that game, then I won't say it 100% seals the game, but it will make it a really hard hill to climb for the team who doesn't have the late game.
So in all three games, we saw Phantom Lancer come out, and I believe in all three he did actually come out on top. So that was a win for Phantom Lancer today. And do you feel that that's kind of becoming the current way things are looking? Like, is it a pick to win hero, or is it just something that you have to play differently against?
It's just it is something you have you can't poorly execute your strat. Like throughout the game, it allows you to make very few mistakes unless you have a direct counter hero, and by that I mean like not necessarily a gyro. Gyro can clear a wave of illusions, but he can't continue to do that. Whereas a tiny could maybe like eventually outcarry with 6 item slots. And he doesn't have to activate anything, he just hits, and that's constant, and that could be something that like a route you can go up against a PL. And if you don't go that route, it's a matter of either pushing or keeping him down, and it's like it's a harder strat to execute. It's just generally hard to go up against PL. Um, and well, today we didn't feel like we were playing on top of our game, so going with picking the PL, like if we wouldn't have had first pick in the last game, I would have probably went for a ban on it, just out of the fear of going up against it, because it is one of the hardest heroes to go up against, in my opinion. It's very hard here to deal with in general.
Hmm. So what do you think is going to take to kind of dethrone him in his current mindset? Do you think he actually needs a direct nerf from Ice Frog, or is it like, I mean, we saw Gyrocopter go for Divine Rapier. That didn't work out well because he had the Lone Druid as well. Also, we saw you pick up the Dragonite. He didn't even get to level 16. I know that the intention of that was push mostly, but the late game, the Blue Dragon form certainly would have helped. So
we waited for the Blue Dragon, trying to wait for the last fight. Sorry. But yeah, he didn't manage to get to 16 before the last fight. He was just 15 and 3/4. But I mean, he could work. But then again, the ultimate is the same as the flag cannon. It only lasts 60 seconds with having 55 seconds downtime or something. So it's not a permanent answer to the illusion army.
yeah. That makes sense. And the way you guys play, you're still kind of sticking to that Rat Dota mindset, and that's awesome. But the fact that you guys can distract so well, like in your game 3 I'm specifically referencing, by putting 4 people down on the complete opposite lane, and just Era literally sits there the entire game, just putting pressure on the tower, getting farm. It just, in that style, it seems like it's an extremely difficult thing to deal with, because you can't just send a support to push out the wave. Alina, Jakiro, they have great counter push, but especially once the Reaver comes up, it just seems like it's a little bit too much. So obviously there's a lot of different ways to counteract it. But in this series specifically, one of those ways was that I figured would happen was that you could put aggressive tri-lane pressure. You could go 3 versus 3, but that didn't happen at all. Why do you feel this match was very, very 1 versus 3 oriented?
Well, you're still talking about the last game, right?
All of them. I mean, you guys, every single time PL got picked, there was an off lane, but there was no 3v3.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in the first game, we got Coddle and PL, and I feel as if you know how to run the Coddle, PL, and well, almost any hero, you're gonna win the tri-lane. Maybe not in the start. Like if you only look at the first 2 or 3 minutes, you might not be on top of the stats, but after a few more minutes, you're going to be able to force the enemy tri-lane away, and they can't just stand there. Like even Coddle could eventually just solo those 3 heroes. Phantom Lancer could go forest, and overall, you're getting a lot more than they are. The problem about Coddle against a tri-lane is the constant damage for mana you can get. So the enemy team will have to spend money on regen, whereas you only have to spend mana on regen. And now I'm talking about mana regen that gets transferred into either PL nuke or Coddle nuke. So basically, you're getting free mana and using it to get rid of their HP, and they would have to spend gold, whereas you don't. And it just gets worse and worse as the levels proceed. And eventually, like if you get control of the forest on your short lane, you're going to be able to deny XP from them while nuking the creeper out with Coddle, and they have to either just go 3-man into the forest, but it's like it's just generally very hard to contest against a Coddle. But it is an option to go up against a PL. Like that's also one answer. As I said, you can try to keep him down. He is really weak on the lane on his own, but you're always gonna have to execute better when you're contesting than if you're not contesting. You feel like you have a lot more breathing space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's definitely a different way to approach it, but obviously it was an issue. Either you had to focus on breaking onto the late game if you were the Phantom Lancer, or in their case, you always had to keep on putting that pressure out. And I think that was a good draft, the way you tried to play it, but obviously it just didn't pan itself out when we saw when it came down to the team fights. But anyways, what's up with the early game in general? Like you guys seem to be a little bit off the ball compared to Pain. Was it they did something that was unexpected, or?
Well, it was mostly. I feel like we were on a different page on our tri-lane for all games. It's something that takes time. Like now that we play with a stand-in, it doesn't matter who it is. It's gonna be different when it's someone you're not used to playing with. Whereas with Fly, like that was also what we had in the start when we transitioned to Dota, is to be on the same page on what you need to do on your short lane. That's at least what stood out to me. Like you really need good communication. You need to know what you're doing, and I just felt like we weren't doing what like we didn't agree on what we were doing more or less. And but yeah, we eventually, like in the third game, I still feel like we did kind of pull it back together. Like we played really synergized, me and Sunderin and Adrian. Not in the very start, but it soon caught up, and we started doing some medium plays. And but yeah, that's just one thing you deal with when you play with a stand-in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit of miscoordination here and there, but it still obviously panned out in the end. You guys took the win, and a couple of really cool things to comment on was going up, kind of being the anti-quap there. A couple of them was really just questionable plays from the Queen of Pain himself, but it felt like Synderin had a Guardian Angel looking out for him. It kind of seemed like that was you. Those disruptions back and forth, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there was one time where I felt really sorry for the cop with the mag reverse polarity. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, it was very unfortunate. The idea behind it was brilliant. If only it was 0.2 seconds later, then everything would have been different in that scenario. But it actually turned out to help us more than harm us with that RP, which is rarely ever the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just, and that was kind of back to back. I'm not gonna rag on that person too much more, but obviously you guys responded appropriately when they didn't have their cooldowns. You guys pushed like crazy. I mean, you were the big thing. I saw it in Game 3 especially was you guys were able to capitalize on time periods where they couldn't fight 5v5 or they couldn't even contest 5v4 by pushing down on towers, whether Era up on top or you guys down on bottom. That just really seems where you guys hit your stride in that one. Where was that Fnatic in the other games? Like it seemed like you guys had trouble finding those big advantages and capitalizing on them earlier on in the match. So do you think that there was a big shift in mindset, or was it just trying to get in the game?
I do feel like we did generally better once we entered the mid game. Whenever we started the game, it just felt like we were stumbling around, and every start was bad from us. But not to take anything away from them, they actually did a really good job. Like I don't know if it's something they're known for doing, but not many teams would choose to always send the offlaner top, and they put like I wouldn't say a lot of focus on the guy. Like first game, I think you got pooled wards at one point where he then would block the camps and try to get vision of himself. I dewarded that, but it's generally something you don't see teams do. They try to rather just dodge it if they have the option to send that hero forest, like they did with the Darkseer. He still went top. And with the Windrunner, it starts with boots and plays really, really aggressive. It's very risky. We didn't really capitalize on it, which I do think we could have, but props to them for like that offlane cost us a lot of troubles also with the mag. Like they played it in a very risky, but it also has a high reward if it works out.
Yeah, most definitely. So you played a rather diverse set of heroes, and this time around, obviously, still filling that same role of yours, the support. But you had Shadow Demon up, Keeper Light, and I just blanked on the third one. But
it's the Chen second game.
Chen, yeah, Chen game 2. Yep. So jumping in from those different mindsets, they're very, very different heroes, each and every one of them. How did you take your skill and your practice with them into each game, and would you have done something differently between those transitions?
Second game, I mean, not the second game. Third game on the Shadow Demon, like that's a hero I kind of really enjoy playing, like more than I do say at Chen. I still enjoy playing Chen. I still do my best on it, but when you play Shadow Demon, you feel like you can do a million things. Like you can do so much with that hero. Every single spell has the potential to make the outcome of a fight so much better. Whereas maybe a Chen, sure, like especially send home, heal can be big, but it just feels a lot more limited. When you play a Shadow Demon, you have so many options. And the thing I regretted third game with him was maxing Shadow Poison over W. I hadn't done Shadow Demon Lina combo in a long time, and I do feel like there's a situation when I was level 5, it doesn't matter, level 5 or 6, and Lina was about to hit 6, with maxing out my W spell, it would have done overall a lot more damage than I could have done with Shadow Poison, because that's how that was. The percentage damage with a nuke would be overall more damage than with a Shadow Poison. But normally you would skill Shadow Poison for deep pushing purposes, and generally for longer fights you would get a lot more damage than you would from maxing the. I can't remember the spell name. I'm sorry. Second spell on Soul Catcher on the Shadow Demon. So, but that wasn't one thing I regretted. But still, you get 20% from the first level, then it goes 10% up for each level. So it wasn't the most horrible thing in the world. But but yeah, with that hero, you have generally with my role, you have a lot of positioning you need to really be worried about. Because if you're in the right position at the right time, then yeah, you can get the good disrupt off. You can get the ultimate to catch someone. You can catch 3 people in a Shadow Poison that will give you vision over them for the fight, so on. And the same goes for heroes like Rubik and stuff like that. Positioning is really key.
Yeah, most definitely. That, I mean, pretty well sums it up there. And one thing about positioning was that first blood attempt. There were multiple first blood attempts in Game 3. It kind of took a while to actually make its way down to Trixie. But well, on that Magnus one, is there something that could have been done differently, or is it just he got the perfect angle that he needed to, and the illusions obviously couldn't clean it up?
The problem was with the skewer that I think the illusions were closer to the center of Magnus' hero circle, because PL did position himself in front of him, or on that side. So what Arrow could have done, like, obviously would have been to move one illusion, but that's just in hindsight. That's not something you're gonna think about, that you suddenly get an illusion proc, or I think you got an illusion proc, and that you have to remove one illusion, and he's gonna skewer that one. Like we would have had the first blood on the mag if you skewered the real PL. Because he ended up surviving on like 5% HP, and like saying that we could have done something different, sure, but there's in that like if we would have replayed it, might have happened again. Like it's just one of those things. And yeah, the smoke up we did in Game 3 right away was pretty bad timed. Like that's something you gotta work on. There's not always something you can predict, but the earlier smoke, like the earlier you do a smoke, the more risk it has of failing. But there's like a sweet timing where you can do it, where it's very likely to work out. But yeah, we did waste an entire minute or something on our first smoke in Game 3.
So Chad is actually asking what your thoughts are for Fnatic North America, their team, and how they're doing. I haven't really been able to catch up too much on how they're accomplishing since they've redone their roster quite a bit. But do you have any thoughts on that?
I did see that they progressed in one tournament, but other than that, I haven't followed them too much. I only followed teams that we're about to play, or that we're likely to play in a soon time period, because there are a few teams and they definitely have a chance of winning against us. So I prefer to shift my focus towards those teams. They just reformed like not too long ago with getting a full roster. So expecting like the biggest upsets from them and stuff is maybe a bit optimistic, like for Fnatic fans. But maybe we'll see some more of them in the future. I hope so. But personally, I haven't been following too much.
Sure. Obviously, got plenty going on yourself. Talking about like future stuff. We've seen sometimes like the Cupid Red Pandas have this thing where Sig picks up Kunkka a lot, and I know Gladiator used to be a very, very common pick for Fnatic and Han. Obviously, he's been changed a little bit and reworked in a couple different ways, but do you think that's something that could possibly find a resurgence?
I definitely think Kunkka is a very valid hero. I'm actually surprised that no one ran him before Cupid Pandas. We have tried running him, but it's also all about synergy with that hero. Hero becomes so good if you work together as 5. All the spells are like I wouldn't necessarily say all about working together as 5, but you have a lot of things that will work ridiculously good if you do team up with it. Like X marks the spot is a positioning spell, gets one of their teammates out of position, and that would like if you were to position yourself really good around that X marks the spot, that would almost always be a guaranteed kill. And the ship from Kunkka hits 5 of your heroes. Those heroes are not gonna die during the buff duration. And if you synergize and stun with a long range torrent, there's always those kind of options. But on its own, then the hero's not that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's kind of it's in those circumstances. Do you feel that there's a specific lineup that you could see in the future using him, or is it still just something that at best it's a pocket pick and probably won't see the light of day, at least not until you guys start experimenting in like a gaming house or whatever?
Yeah. Not necessarily a gaming house or anything like that, but we would just have to practice a bit more together as the same roster as Five before we were to venture into picks like that. That requires some practice first of all with the hero, but in general like top-notch synergy. Because it's not really worth it if you don't make it work, obviously, with the spells. But I would still say it's not something you can pick up every time, because I already have a few heroes in mind that will completely nullify the whole strat that there is behind them. At least the Cupid Panna strat, or the strat that they've been running. Not gonna spoil my counters on on a public stream right now, but I have a few heroes in mind that could already go up against it.
Yeah. You were talking about like not running a full roster, and also mentioning as far as how drafting's going and kind of making plans along those lines. How long is Fly going to be out of action?
Well, the thing is, he's not 100% out of action, but he's back in Israel in May, which means that until then, there's going to be games where he can't play, and he's generally not going to be able to practice with us.
Sure.
So it does make for a harder time for us to compete against really good teams and in general work out new strategies and so on.
Sure.
Because you don't just want to go all the time picking up new strategies without having tested some of the fundamental heroes in that strat. But yeah, so until early May, we're gonna have to work around it.
Do you think Cinderun will be a pretty common stand-in for you guys in the future?
Hopefully, he's had some times where he hasn't been able to, and we'll see how it goes in the future. We do prefer to have the same, like a solid stand-in, but I mean, if you expect you can't just expect someone to clear up their entire schedule just to stand in for a team. I mean, it's not his team or anything like that, so it's difficult to say that you just want the same guy to be able to stand in for you all the time, but it's something you would prefer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for rosters and such, consistency is a really big deal. So if you unfortunately don't have that slot considered full with Fly, then yeah, it's great to have more opportunities with Sind and other individuals where you can do lots of cool action with that. Other things about consistency, like in the current Dota scene in general, like looking at hero picks, do you feel that the selections have stagnated a little bit? Do you think that the tournament scene is lacking in innovation in terms of hero picks?
I think we did a pretty good job ourselves of starting to pick heroes up like Nature's Prophet. I think we definitely benefited, or no, that's not the word I'm looking for. We definitely helped in making Fury make a comeback into the competitive scene. And well, that's just one hero, but I do feel like there's certain heroes that aren't being used enough. Like a hero like Brewmaster, I still feel like you could use him in a lot of strats, but you just don't see those strats anymore. He would usually be used in a somewhat of a push strategy where he would just be focused on farming a blink first of all. Then you would go push, and then you would initiate and take a fight with a Brewmaster, ulti, and blink, and that hero has like super good early fighting potential. Right now, it's a lot about having to worry about being split pushed. With PL in the game, for us, it's a whole nother thing. Like you gotta know how to deal with it. Like you gotta think about how you want to deal with the Phantom Lancer pick, because just going late game is a hard route. Pushing against it, never really easy. Like early push strat, and like the last thing I think you want to do against a PL is going for a ganking kind of strategy The only way that would work is if you would have late game, because yeah, if you gank, sure. If you don't push when you gank, then well, it's still gonna drag late game, and you're still gonna have to deal with those illusions. So there's a few things you gotta keep in mind now in the current meta, but yeah, I definitely think there are some heroes missing. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. Obviously, that's sums it up pretty nicely in my opinion as well. It's just like there's still some diversity. I mean, there's still some counterpicks here and there, and each team has their own styles. Like, I mean, like especially some like North American teams, a team like Dignitas draft completely different than like the Russian teams, Virtus Pro and Empire. See that all the time, and that's a lot of different mindsets, and that's pretty cool. But like you said, it's still the priorities seem the same in general.
That's something that I still enjoy about Dota in general, is that you do have that a certain team playing in a certain way. You know, when Mousesports picks up anti-mage, you know it's most likely going to be 4-man Dota +1, similar to what we did in game 3. I mean, you have that hero that has a lot of farming potential, carry potential, but also pushing potential, and that hero will force the most hardcore carry on the enemy team to deal with him, and then the other 4-man team just has to be stronger than enemy 4-man team. But that's different styles, different teams. It's very fun, but yeah, you see a lot of the same strats going over and over again, and even in different teams.
Yeah. So kind of speaking of your strategy specifically, why aren't we seeing Nature's Prophet picked up so frequently by you guys there?
I was gonna pick it up in the third game, but they had some very smart bans. I wanted the Nature's Prophet, I remember. Then they banned it. Well, okay, I still have Sulibear. Then they banned it. And then I don't remember what the third ban was, but I wanted that hero originally as well. So they were on the ball on those bans, but it's a risky pickup in the first 3, in my opinion. Some team like Mousesports, they would pick it up maybe as first pick even. I feel like it could be punished a lot, but it's still a hero we would love to run, but it's right time, right place kind of hero.
Yeah, definitely. So it's obviously a situational pick despite your guys' style. It's still something that transitions around, and it's like you said, it's a lot about how they kind of carved it out for you. They banned out a lot of heroes that you guys like your Wisp and Era's Lifestealer and those kinds of things. And then, yeah, like you said, second phase bans were really on point as well. So do you feel that kind of put you guys in a position where you weren't really as able to play your kind of style?
Well, if there's will, there's way. There's different heroes that could fulfill the same roles. Few of them may be kind of unique, but the general split pushing pressure on the opposite side of the map, like that's always possible when you have a hero like Coddle. Becomes even more severe when you have PL plus Coddle. He will always be able to make an army in one place, always get TP to another, and then potentially TP back again with Boots of Travel. Like, so the whole split pressure thing is something you can always make work, but the question is if it's worth it with the heroes that you feel like you're forced to pick. Like you only pick what you think is optimal, and well, you gotta have a strat in mind from the beginning and then commit to that kind of play. So, but yeah, their bans definitely contributed to how we ended up playing.
Sure. So, what do you guys have in kind of closing this out? What do you guys have in mind for the future? I've talked about this a couple times over, and you guys obviously your main goal probably has to be get all 5 of your guys from your roster to just practice, and try new things. But beyond that, what do you guys see yourselves looking at?
Well, we do have a lot of really important and big matches coming up. So, well, first of all, I hope we can try to maintain some level of practice with the situation we're in. And hopefully we do really well. We have a Starladder landing coming next week. I think it's already next week. Sometime next week, maybe early 2 weeks. Okay. But yeah, we're obviously intending to play all our matches and hopefully do well in them. But for the future, I mean, we got invited to qualify for the G League. Mm-hmm. G1 League, and well, that's like a big opportunity for us. So hopefully we're gonna do better than ever, and we're gonna do our best to make this work. And well, when Fly gets back, it's if we made it through the qualifier and stuff like that, we're gonna try to crank it up a notch as much as possible, obviously, and then potentially, nothing is sure yet, but potentially we're gonna be able to boot camp in our gamer house in Cologne. So might be some land boot camping action that could help us out.
Sure. So real quick, since you brought it up, how do you feel you guys are going to fare up against the Eastern scenes? Like specifically you're kind of getting back into the drafter seat a little bit. Their style of drafting compared to yours, that's obviously going to clash a bit. Who do you think has a better mindset there?
One thing I feel like Eastern teams, well, you I guess you're talking about Asian. I'm also thinking about CIS teams a bit. When I think about CIS teams, I think a lot of similar drafts, like from each game. They play a very similar kind of style. They don't change it up too much. Whereas, like when I watch IG games, I feel like their drafts are really solid, but also they vary quite a bit in where they lane and so on. I do feel like they will probably be one of the hardest teams to draft against, where you would come on top not only on lanes but in a general 5-on-5 synergy and so on. Like there's a million things you gotta keep in mind, but I do think that at least the top Eastern teams draft really solid. I do think that the ones that like LGD China and Zenith and teams like that, they do draft really weird, and I don't think it's the most optimal way to play, but can't say till we play them, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, I sincerely hope that you guys can kind of adapt your style and also just stay true to yourselves when you guys take on that challenge, because I mean everybody talks about how big of a deal Eastern Dota and the Chinese Dota and is how different of a scene it is. I think there's some major similarities, but either way, I think you guys are definitely, I mean, obviously taking care of the Western scene very, very well. So I definitely expect you guys to do some pretty cool things, and hopefully the G1 qualifiers and all that turn out very well for you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, so you have any shout-outs you want to give before you go?
No, just same old Rat Dota, Gambuga Gaming, our sponsors, and my team.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Always a pleasure to have you and get a little bit of insight. Now, I'll let you go, and you guys have a good one in the future.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, and have a good day.